In today's episode of HR Visionaries, we talk to Dan. Dan has a very interesting story and career before he joined Acronis. Stay tuned. Welcome to HR Visionaries, where we unlock the secrets of modern HR. I'm Benjamin, your host. Join us as we shed light on today's HR universe with HR leaders and innovators from across the globe. Whether you're an HR pro, a business leader, or just curious about the future of work, this is your shortcut to the forefront of HR innovation. Brought to you by Hire, the AI talent attraction platform. Hey everyone. Welcome to our new episode of HR Visionaries. I'm looking forward to our guest today, Dan. Dan, thanks for taking the time.
Thank you, Benjamin. I appreciate it and happy to be here with you today.
Dan, who are you? Can you introduce yourself in 5 sentences to us?
International man of mystery. No, I'm Dan Meyers. I'm Chief Human Resources Officer here at Acronis. For those of you that don't know Acronis is a multinational cyber protection, data backup, disaster recovery organization. We focus on the small and medium-sized business through the MSP network. We do some direct, but it's mostly through our network of great partners. We have over 1,900 employees globally in over 40 plus different countries, a truly multicultural organization that is celebrating its 20th anniversary this year, and most of the growth has been over the last 3 years. So it's been a fun ride so far. We've been very, very busy.
Well, being in more than 40 countries, that is perhaps kind of a challenge when it comes to maintaining or creating and maintaining a common culture.
Yeah, it's it's funny. There's culture and then there's corporate culture, and we are a reflection in many ways of the 40 plus countries that we're in. We take what's great about each and every one of them, we incorporate it in some way, shape, or form. But at the end of the day, we operate as an organization that is, listen, we're maniacally focused. We pay attention to the details, right? We have that never give up attitude. It's one of the things that attracted me to Acronis was I remember when I was interviewing, and at the time it was our CEOs, Serge Bell, and our CFO, Shahar Rabi, both said to me, what's great about Acronis, Dan, is that the only thing that limits us is us. We don't see walls or barriers. What we see is opportunities. And it's, do we want that opportunity or not? And so, it stuck with me. I remember going through that process, and it's been true for the 3 years and 4 months now that I've been here. You look at the growth, you look at the challenges we faced, world events significantly impacted us on multiple times. And yet, we continued to grow. Acronis, the story's still yet to be written, of course, but we have every opportunity to be a highly successful organization. And that's what we're all striving for at the end of the day.
Well, it's pretty amazing. And how do you maintain this mindset of, hey, we don't see walls, we don't see barriers, we see opportunities? Because, well, it's of course easily said, however, well, keeping this alive is like perhaps a rather big challenge.
Yeah, I mean, I think, the thing for Acronis, and it's similar to a couple of organizations I've worked with in the past, is that Acronis knows its swim lane, so to speak, right? And when we look at our business opportunities, it's okay. We started out as a data backup company, and then it became data backup, disaster recovery, and then it became, hey, we back up all this data, millions of workloads of data, probably secure too. And we moved into the security field about 7 years ago. And today we compete against some very well-known companies that are much larger than us. And yet we win every time. And so when we look at opportunities and we look at what we're doing, our number one question is, are we creating value for our partners who have invested in us as we have invested in them? And is this going to create an opportunity for them to sell more services to their end customers? And by default, does it expand our own market opportunity globally? And so we've been very focused on that. If it doesn't fit one of those buckets, an opportunity to do something better, create a new way of doing work that is more cost effective for our MSPs, it's not something that we look in. It's not something that we'll do. It's much like years ago when I was at Juniper. Juniper was very focused. It was switching, routing, and firewall security. That was it. There were other opportunities, but no, this is our core. This is what we do. And they were one of the best at it. Still are today, actually. But yeah, it's just having that focus.
When I think about guys like you, I picture Die Hard 4.0. Do you know that movie with Bruce Willis?
Yes.
So
yes.
It's like, well, data protection and recovery, perhaps to its limits, right? So when a group of terrorists hacks into I think some kind of a server farm where all the social security data of the US is stored, and they then find out, okay, there's no backup for that, and therefore we definitely have to get Bruce Willis in that to protect us all. So it has become something incredibly important in a world where basically everything happens online, where basically, well, who of us has been to a branch of a bank in last years, right? So no one, right? So do everything online. That's important. And how has that impacted your business?
So, I don't think there's a person that at least I know of, and I'm sure it's probably the same for you, that doesn't recognize that we live in a digital footprint, right? At the end of the day, it's kind of where it's at. Paper is thankfully for the trees, so paper it's not so much a thing of the past, but it mostly is. And our view is that, and this is one of the challenges we face as a company for our employees, because we don't sell. Well, I shouldn't say we don't sell. We do have a consumer product, right? You can buy Acronis backup, we call it True Image, and you can back up all your data. It's an annual subscription. Great, you find that's for you. But when we look at it, every time this data breach, someone goes, "Oh no." It's like somebody took one of those snow globes and shook it up, and was I impacted by it? A social security number, a date of birth, whatever it may be, documents that become at risk. And, one of the challenges we face, and it's more because of our business model, is my view is we need to do a better job of helping our employees understand what a huge difference they're making in the world, right? So there's two pieces to this. There's the business piece and there's the personal piece. And in terms of the difference they're making in the world, we need to do a better job bringing that to life, so that, one of our developers who, whether it's someone here in the US or somebody in Germany or somebody in Bulgaria, they recognize that while our end customer is a service provider, it's our customer's customer who we're making a difference in. And much like from the corporate side, if you look at what we do we have what's called the Acronis Cyber Foundation. And that's an organization, it's a charitable arm of Acronis, where we give back to the communities we're in. For years, we were focused on education for children. It's one of the biggest things that we do. This year we actually morphed and we branched out because we wanted all of our employees to be able to participate. So giving back personally and then making an impact professionally, bringing those two together creates a great value proposition for Acronis and its employees. And I remember a quote from it was a corporate video that we did at another company, and the line is that the accomplishments of the tasks, the things that you achieve in a day or a week or in a month, get blurred because we do so much, right? You lose sight of all the goodness that you've done. But from an employee perspective, the goodness is there, whether it's through the charity you're helping build a school, you are cleaning up the beaches in one of the countries that we're in. You're reading to kids in an educational classroom, or giving computer skills to somebody who has been incarcerated and is trying to make their way in the world. Two, we're protecting the data of, whether it's a Bucharest in Florida and a florist in Bucharest or a florist in Boston, that small florist shop can do a mail order because their service provider uses Acronis data to protect their mail, pick up the data to make sure that it's secure and that no one's information is hacked. So it really is a melting pot of professional and personal that Acronis offers that not a lot of companies really do, and it's a
And
broad spectrum.
yeah, and in particular, given it's about those super important uh, things in life, right? So when you
Hmm.
think about, okay, your digital identity, so to say, and I'm not talking about passports or anything, but more like, okay, all the data you own, it's memories or life savings, right? So it's
Yeah.
like from this spectrum, it's like so
Well,
important to you, right?
yeah, I mean, think about it. For example, here in the US, for example, we have HIPAA laws, right? Which is all about health insurance and protection of your privacy and rights. Acronis products is certified, they're HIPAA compliant. So you know that if one of our partners actually provides the data infrastructure for a small medical office, that data is safe. It's
Mhm.
backed up. It's not going to go anywhere, and it's protected from cyber criminals or someone accessing that data. And we do it a little bit uniquely because we actually have our own cyber network globally. So we have our own data centers, but yet we also utilize, whether it's Google, Microsoft, or Amazon. If the customer wants their data there, we'll utilize those services as well. So it's a really cool story that not a lot of companies do the full scope of what we do.
It's super important what you said. So that in particular, when you acquire new talents, it's about getting that message across. Hey, you're serving clients. However,
Mhm.
their clients are the people we take care of and we protect. So how do you communicate this kind of indirect relationship with direct impact?
Yeah, it's one of the focuses for 2024 for my team is to bring it to life to people. I mean, I think for people that work at Acronis, it's almost like breathing.
Mhm.
You don't think about it, you just do it, right?
But it's
And for
remarkable, right?
us, yeah, it really is because, I think our employees think about our partners. Those are in essence our customers, but by default, they think about our customer's customer because we're building products for them to resell
Mhm.
or to utilize. So you have to think about your customer's customer in order to be able to build a product that is sellable and usable and, can grow. Um, but it's something that visually, impactfully, we need to pull out more. And 2024 is really the year to help bring those stories to life.
Um, Security is kind of a thing for you, right? So that has been kind of a theme throughout your life.
I would say for the last, well, I guess you could actually go back to when I graduated college and how I got into HR, which is what I think you're going with. But
Yes.
professionally, work-wise, yeah, I mean, I've worked in the security field or security technology for the last 15 plus years. But for me, it goes back further. We talked about this briefly in our pre-chat about how I got into HR, right? And it was, I got to do this quickly because we only have a half hour. I graduated college and I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to be an FBI agent. That was my focus. My parents wanted me to go to law school. Such a disappointment to them. Just kidding. They're very proud. Um, and I back then they used to call it personnel because I'm old, so it wasn't even HR then. And I think if someone had asked me, I would have said I couldn't even spell HR if you gave me the H and the R. Didn't know what it was. And it was really through a friend of a friend of a friend who said, "Hey, you have the right personality. I have this role. We need someone to help us hire people." And I went, "I can do that." And so for the first 4 years, 5 years, somewhere around there since I graduated college, I was on a dual path, right? I had this career that was growing in HR and I was going through the process with the FBI. Um, I had to wait before I could apply for them. I went through the process, 6 hour interview that seemed like 10 minutes with three interviews at the same time. I went through had the testing and everything else and passed all that. By the time you get to this point, it's really 4 years since I graduated college because I had to wait. And I finally get cleared and it's like, okay, we're going to start your background check. Me, I'm super excited. And then they tell me, yeah, we we can't move forward because we have a hiring freeze. And this was back in the very early 90s. And I went, oh, okay. So you fast forward a couple of years, hiring freeze lifts. I get this letter in the mail and stating, hey, you were a candidate, would love to revisit this. You got to go through the whole process again. And at that time, I was in my mid to later 20s, I guess, mid 20s, mid 26, I think 27. And like a lot of stories, I met a girl, the woman eventually became my wife. But I had to make a decision. Did I want to go through the process with the FBI, sit in the farm field, wait for someone to fly over with an airplane, drop a kilo of cocaine, and that was going to be my life? Or was I going to stick with this HR thing? Because by that time I had moved out of recruiting. I was more in a generalist role. And literally, it, I guess it would be the road less traveled for me based upon where I thought I was going. And I wouldn't change a single thing. It's been an amazing 30 plus years of working in the field.
And then the interview process at the FBI that taught you a lot about great candidate experience, right?
Yeah, that was it probably wasn't the best candidate experience going through it at the time. Because I remember it vividly. I had the lead agent was he had just run a major FBI operation here in the US. It was all over the news. The second interview was with organized crime. And the third interview was actually with terrorism, counterterrorism, which at that time was very, very small piece of what the FBI did. And, I said this earlier, it was a 6-hour interview that felt like 10 minutes. And I remember the going back and forth and, they jump around literally from when you were in high school to, what you were doing since you graduated college. And then they jump into, well, what's the population of Egypt? And at the time, like 52 million. And the guy Chris says 56 million. I went, okay, sorry. It was
right
just
to Wikipedia, right?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have Google. I couldn't Google it, So, and I didn't have AI to give me all the answers. It was an incredible experience. It really was to go through it and to see, these were really seasoned veterans that I had interviewed with. And it makes you question, I remember at the time I questioned every decision I think I made as a youngster and through college, because it's like, wait a minute, why did I do that? Because they ask you very direct questions. And at that time, you're so scared, you can't lie or you can't stretch the truth. You're like, yes, I may have visited with the police once, but it was a drunken frat party, or something like that, whatever it was. It wasn't the best candidate experience, but they were very good. They were very, very nice, in case anybody's listening.
Well, since you have so much experience in the field of HR, what were the points in your the situations in your career where you thought, okay, well, am I doing the right thing here, or is there perhaps something I should change or I need to change?
Yeah. I look at my career has kind of mirrored my age bracket, if you will. When I was in my 20s, there was nothing. I would take on everything. I wasn't afraid of a single project, role, you name it, I took it on. When I was in my 30s, I really thought I knew everything. Right? I mean, I had 10 years of experience by then. I was a genius. I knew everything. When I was in my 40s, it was more about, yes, I've been there. I've seen this. I've done that. I can solve this. And, here in my 50s, I look at it and go, I knew nothing back then. I still know nothing now. I'm constantly learning. And I found I really have adopted the more so the last 10 to 15 years, I would say, of my career. I agree, people. Coach them, guide them, let them do their thing. I look for people that challenge me. Because if I have all the answers, oh boy, we're in trouble. Right? I need people to question everything and say, wait a minute. Not because I'm unsure or anything else. It's just I don't care who the author is. What I care about is the outcome. And are we doing the right thing? It's I think I shared this with you before. I've always lived by this philosophy. What's right isn't always popular, and what's popular isn't always right. But we will do the right thing in any organization I'm in, because at the end of the night, and I can say this, here 30 plus years into it, when I put my head on my pillow at night, I don't have a problem going to sleep because of work.
Mhm.
You do the right thing, and that generally leads to a happier life, happier outcomes.
This mindset of always eager to learn, or also not being shy of saying, okay, well, it's not something I know, despite,
Mhm.
Sometimes people think of, hey, a leader should be, well, should know everything, should be in a position of ultimate wisdom, which is perhaps not the case, right? It's more about, hey, being open to new ideas and being taught from young data scientist students, hey, what are the opportunities in AI?
Yeah, I think, my view is that everything is about. I really have come to that conclusion, 30 plus years into this. Whatever the latest fad is, eh, or whatever the past trend was, somewhere in the middle lies the truth of what's right. And I don't think as a leader you need to have all the answers to the business questions that are asked, but you do need to have the wisdom and the calmness to guide people through it, even though you yourself may not have the answers, because that is one of the things that, my global team here, at past companies, it's what I think if you talk to people that work with me, they'll tell you this. When the chaos starts swirling, I actually go calmer, right? Because that's the role of a leader, is how do I help people get through this knot hole? It's just hard. As we did a project not too long ago, and I told my team, I said, this is hard. It's hard work. It's going to challenge you emotionally, physically. You're going to be drained. But here's the thing, when we get through it, you're going to be better HR people than you ever were before. And I think if you set expectations so people understand, listen, life isn't easy. It's just not. Whether it's personal or professional, you always encounter roadblocks. And it's how you ultimately deal with them that will dictate level of success and happiness, both personally and professionally. Does it always go perfect? Oh, heck no. We're going to make mistakes. Something's going to break. As long as we don't impact somebody negatively, is it uncomfortable? Yes, it's going to be uncomfortable. But if we don't impact somebody negatively, we can fix anything. We really can. But you have to be open to different ways of doing things, embracing that challenge. Um, I think is success. Key to success no matter what you do.
You mentioned before that, you guys are very active in giving back to the communities you're in. Yeah, when did you start this endeavor? So, what I hear, what you're saying is like, hey, we rethink stuff a lot, we challenge each other a lot, and we also then open new chapters in terms of, hey, how can we impact our community in a positive
Mhm.
way?
Yeah. So the Acronis Cyber Foundation actually goes back many, many years, predates me. Serge Beloff, founder, a huge, huge believer in children. At the end of the day, it's about children, education and learning. You look at his own path and his own learnings, and he's constantly learning. In fact, he actually bought a university a couple of years ago now, Jacobs University of Bremen, which I'm sure you're familiar with. Um,
Well, certainly.
the passion, yeah, the passion for education for him has always been there, and for children in particular. And I'll give you a couple of examples of this. During COVID, for example, one of the things we did was we actually created learning opportunities for the children of our employees. How do they learn from home? We donated computers and materials and books, and helped people through this experience. But it really dates back to that. He's always believed in it, and it's something that he made sure the Acronis Foundation focused on bringing education to those who don't have it. in remote areas of the world and helping, if you've seen the videos, I highly encourage you to go on our website. You can actually see them. They're just gut-wrenching and heartbreaking, and at the same time, full of joy for the work that our teams have done. Because, in the past, our employees have actually gone for a week and helped to build these schools. It's not just financial. We partner with our biggest partners. They also donate time and money to these endeavors. And it is something that we've really focused on. Now, as I said, this past year, we've actually expanded it a little bit because, if 18 people go to build that school, well, what about the other 1,900 plus? What about them? And so now this is where we've expanded so that whether you're doing something in your local community with education, you're doing something from an environmental standpoint, in giving back, and we do it as a team. So we get groups of employees. It's not just the individual, hey, I want to go, save the whales one day. I'm going to go by myself. It's a group of people who go and clean up that public park. We just did this in Bulgaria recently, Romania, where our team of folks actually went. It was a public park. They spent the day cleaning it up. Acronis swag, of course, we'll get some branding as part of this. But every person who participates in these ventures, it really is life-changing for a lot of them, because either they've never done it, never taken the time, but they've also built a bond with their coworkers that might not ordinarily present itself. So it's twofold. One, we give back, give people an opportunity to do something that they can feel great about, and two, it is part of the team building.
Then my last question is, what was your most amazing situation at Acronis that will forever stick in your mind?
Oh, it's a great question. I don't know that I have one right now, because when I look at our future and what could be, what we hope will be, I think that is actually where the excitement goes. If I had to answer today, I just look at the growth that we've been through. When I came here 3 years and 4 months ago, we had 1,200 employees, plus or minus, up over 1,900 today. I look at what we went through as a company during COVID, how we handled it, how we went from being an in-office company to a truly dispersed, distributed work environment today. The challenges that faces, the great people who work here continue to do great work, some who have left and moved on other ventures, and you look at the success. I think Acronis, what I'm most proud of, we impact people every day. Our customers, our customer's customer, our employees, their families. Are we perfect? No organization is. But I like to think, the most proud thing is when there's a rallying cry, or something is in need, there isn't anything this organization won't do for its employees. Whether it was a situation in Ukraine, the current situation in the Middle East with Israel and Palestine, and the people impacted there, whether it was the earthquake in Turkey, early spring, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Acronis is one of those organizations that we have people, or our people have people impacted. What do we do to support them? And it's funny because as charging and driving as we are, it always comes back to people and well-being. I know we're out of time. I can give you a great story on that separately, but it really is about, as hard as we are, we also care probably even deeper about people.
Cool. Amazing. Dan, thank you so much for all your insights. It was really amazing hearing about how to serve your clients in a very important situations. Thank you so much. It was really cool.
Thank you, Benjamin. I really enjoyed it, and I hope you have a great rest of your week.
Same to you. Thanks for all of you who listened in. See you next time.